This build is an optimization monster. For less than 1 divine in gear, I will guarantee tier 15-16 double Val Orb mobs done easy peasy. With almost 10,000 energy shield, 243 spirits, triple herald, triple echo, 77% evasion with 69% physical damage reduction estimated, fire, lightning, cold, fully overcapped, and also chaos damage immunity. Welcome to Goblin-Inc, I am Ace of Spades. This build is an optimization monster and it works as advertised for 48 Exalt in my case, but for sure less than 1 divine even if you make some mistakes in building it. You will have to watch the first 2 parts of the video or you will break the build. The last 2 parts of the video, the talents and the skill gems, you can copy paste without worrying. I'm gonna first teach you why the build works and how, and with that it's gonna give you a great understanding on the items so that you can buy the items, which by the way I will give you the links to buy the items already pre-made, but there might be more than one link for the same item, and by watching the video you understand why, so that you can actually get the things you need for the build to function. It is a little bit of a combo build. It is incredibly simple once you understand it, both to play and to build, but it does require the understanding. It is a triple echo build, meaning that we need to both ignite, chill, and shock enemies. To do that, we're going to be needing the help of 3 heralds, all 3 of them, which also are going to give us the double benefit of increasing our fire, lightning, and cold damage. Normally, dealing multiple sources of elemental damage is not great because you cannot stack your penetration on all 3 of them. In our case, monks ignores all resistances and we're going to have a 100% critical hit chance, meaning that we always penetrate all resistances. Those are the key things for the build. And how do we achieve all 3 of them? We're gonna go quickly over them right now. Herald of Ash is a low level Herald of Ash. Key thing is to run it low level so that you can have it for only 25 strength. If you read the Herald of Ash, it tells you that you ignite enemies when you overkill them. Now the amount of ignite doesn't really matter. What we care about is that we are igniting them to activate the buffs from echoing. Herald of Ice's job is to both being our main AoE clear and also to innervate. Innervate, when we kill a shocked enemies, we gain 35% of damage as lightning damage for all of our attacks and the other heralds included. Our last herald, the Herald of Thunder, actually has the job to freeze enemies for us. With glaciation and with ice bite, we gain 35% of damage as cold damage when we freeze an enemy with supported skill. Herald of Ice will also freeze and create a chain reaction that blasts all the enemies away as you're watching. To guarantee the critical hit, we have 100% more critical hit chance against enemies that are on full life, meaning that our 49% plus, if I switch my weapon, is a little bit less than 49. But double that, because 100% more is double, it's going to be almost 100%, so 98-99% critical hit chance. The skill is very powerful when played this way, and it's really what makes the build work. For single target, for single target I only mean bosses. Anything elite is gonna get one shot. So for bosses, Tempest Flurry plus Tempest Bell is just OP and just, cheesy to kill them quickly. Now that you understand the mechanics of the build, everything else will make sense. We're gonna now talk about the items, which is gonna be the most important part of the video. Be sure you're focused in right now. Before we talk about the cost of the items, we're gonna start by understanding that the staff is gonna be the centerpiece of your build. It's gonna be the first item that you buy, and I will have the description for that here. We're gonna go buy the weapon first. It's here, and it says, because here we understand what type of damage the weapon will have. So this weapon has cold damage, right? We need to do a little bit of cold damage. Yes, we do have some extra cold damage from our plus 5% extra cold damage here, and we also have 15% of the damage dealt as cold damage from I Am the Blizzard, but we want more than that, more cold damage than that. If our weapon has cold damage, then we do not need cold damage on the other items. It's nice to have more, but we don't really care about it. We like cold damage, we like lightning damage, and fire damage is just whatever. But we want to have added lightning, fire, and cold damage on rings, gloves, and of course on the weapon. If the weapon like this does not have cold damage, it's fine. The footage you've been watching, I've used the different weapons. Even with only 1 cold damage roll, so only 32 cold damage, it was fine. But if your weapon does not have cold damage on it, I would prefer to have at least 2 items with added cold damage on them. That's the first thing you need to understand about your weapon. The second thing you need to understand about your weapon is that if you have level 2 all melee skills on your weapon, you probably do not want level 2 melee skills on your gloves or on your amulet. Because then the cost is going to start to be annoying and you're going to start to have to worry about the resource management and add some things for that. If you end up having level 2 melee skills on all of your items, you can add one of these jewels to your build, and you will recover 2% of mana on kill, and that's fine. But in fact, for my build, I even played without having jewels. So some of my jewels are missing. The only jewels that you must have is only 2 out of 4, and you need to have 2 jewels that have plus 10% maximum energy shield gain as additional stun threshold. These jewels here will allow you to not be stunned. Those are the jewels that you need to have. Alright, so now you understand the weapon. The 2 things about to understand about the weapon. 1, what to do if you have cold damage, and if you don't have cold damage, what to do if you have levels 2 melee skills on it or not to have level 2 melee skills on it. That was the first item you've bought. Next one, you're gonna buy your rings and your amulet. Now, I like, when possible, to have quality on my rings. So if I have, well, everyone does like to have quality, but as you can see, I have 20% fire quality, and I increase my fire attack damage, I increase my fire resistance, and I increase my to all elemental resistance by 20%. So try to have a ring that is thematically of one element. So try to have like lightning damage, lightning resistance, to all elemental resistance counters as all 3 types, and added lightning, and then you get quality to lightning. Same thing for cold. Since you bought the rings first, even buying 2 of them being double cold, so you have like a 40 cold rest on one ring, 40 cold rest on the other one, it's fine. Because we're gonna buy the rest of the items and fix the resistances after we bought the rings. That's why I make you buy the rings first. Because you wanna buy the best rings you can find. You don't want to worry about what the resistances to find on them. You want to find a ring with added damage of one type, added resistance of the same type, and then quality, and then fix your resistances later on. The amulet, you want to buy it also at the same time, because it might have resistances on it, so that you can also balance your resistances. It's also, in my opinion, the most expensive piece of the build was 10 Exalt for me. Meanwhile, my weapons were all between 2 Exalts and 6 Exalts max. So buy the amulet second with the rings, and it's gonna be a fully defensive amulet. Your priority here is to get the maximum energy shield high, increase the maximum energy shield high, and then some sort of like either resistances. It can be level 2 melee skills, it can be critical damage, it can be intelligence, dexterity, or anything of the sort, or more elemental resistances. But be sure that to have maximum energy shield and increase the maximum energy shield on it and to be high. After that, it gets easy. After that, you fix your resistances. You fix your resistances with the belt and boots. You get a belt with 2 resistances, you get the boots with 2 resistances, and you get your helm with 1 resistances. On your helm, you want to have quite high evasion and energy shield because it's your second piece that has decent value. Boots and gloves don't really matter for energy shield value and evasion because they're quite low themselves. You really want to make sure that you have the room for energy shield and evasion on your chest and on your helm. And those are the 2 items where you want to get high value for ES and evasion, and you don't really care too much about anything else. The gloves, which you should have bought with the rings, I forgot to tell you about it. But actually, the gloves can be bought whenever you want. But you need to make sure that you balance what type of elemental damage it has. If you need cold damage, you need to buy cold damage. And again, if you have levels to melee skills here, you better not have level to melee skills on your weapon, or it starts to get heavy on the mana cost. You can have critical strike damage instead. Having dexterity, intelligence here, or resistances is fine. Do not care about energy shield. You just want to have good stats on your gloves. If you can get a double added damage, or even triple on your gloves, that's great, and not care about the rest of the item, it's fine, because added lightning damage, fire and cold are very good for us. The cost of the gear, which we have here, was this quarterstaff was 2 exalts, 2 exalts to add items and 2 chaos, so 6 exalts more or less. The chest was 3 exalts, but I paid 4 by mistake and added 2 exalts to it. I've added the dexterity and intelligence with my exalts. so no resistances. The boots were 3 exalts, the gloves were 2 exalts, and I added 3 exalts to upgrade them. Amulet was 10, clean. Helm was 5 plus 2. I added two mods to it, and rings were 2 plus 2 and 3. For a total of 48 exalts for those items. We do not include the cost of soul cores. The soul cores, you guys can spend more than 48 exalts on the build. I was just proving the build to be great by playing with bad things. For the soul cores, this one is 5 exalts. I put it on and regretted it because it's kind of dumb to put 5 exalts on a 3 exalt item. The +1 lightning res, max lightning res, is 10 exalts, so kind of dumb to put it on 2 exalt gloves. 5 in total. The soul cores that add 2 critical damage bonus are super important, and they're pretty cheap. I think they're like 10 exalt, maybe. Would I spend for them? Yes. Would I put them on 6 exalt stuff like I did? Probably not. This is also 6 exalt in total, and it gives me more damage than the one with the soul cores. But it has the wrong damage type, and it has level 2 melee skill, so I would have to rebuy my ring and gloves for this one to be... I played with it in the video sometimes, just to... Fine, sometimes I use a pot. But the other stuffs, I made more of them, so that I can, again, prove that the build is that cheap. So this one was 2 exalt, I believe, and already came corrupted. You can add a soul core to it. This one, I gonna resell it because it's not good for the build, but I bought it for 1 or 2 exalt and exalted it a couple of times. And then I had 2 failures. Those were, I bought them for 2 exalts. So in total, everything was like average, like 5-6 exalts, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4 viable stuffs and 2 failures. So it's very repeatable, everything that I've done to buy the items for the build. And you will have links down below for that. Now, we're gonna finish up with the charm, is just don't get frozen, pretty much the LDR. We're gonna go over all the skill gems and the talents now. The build is very easy to play, so I'm not gonna do any gameplay of it. You can just watch, use Stormwave once and everything dies. Well done. Conduction, more chance to shock, important. Primal armament is 25% damage. The critical hit chance, I would say it's the most important one, we put it first. And the last important is long shot, which sometimes it doesn't really give you benefit because the enemies are too close. Tempest Fury, cost, close combat, concentrated effect, martial tempo consumes more mana, by the way, so it increases your mana cost of the skill. You can run something else or not have it. Tempest Bell with Rage, Culling Strike, Bludgeon, and Overcharge. We run Overcharge here because I don't have a space on Stormwave, and also because I wouldn't run Stormwave on bosses, so I want to increase the magnitude of shock on bosses which leave more than 1 hit. So I want them to take more damage from being shocked. The knockback, because we have area on Herald of Ice, +1 cold mastery, and we have innervate on the Herald of Ice. Herald of Ash, we have +1, which doesn't really matter, and we have 30% increased accuracy, which you can also remove enemies, it doesn't matter, but it is possible to run it, and I can. For the Wind Dancer, I have Pin combo with Knockdown and Wind Wave. It's more defensive, it's more pushback. Wind Dancer is super OP and gives you a ton of evasion. I would never play without it, and I would probably quality this gem first, and also quality my Grim Fist first. Grim Fist, 178 intelligence needed for it, but it recovers 200 almost energy shield per remnant, and will give you the double HP pool when you're in combat, which is extremely overpowered. Also have clarity that you don't need to run, and herbalism, which you don't need to run, but if you have the extra spirit, why not? The Herald of Thunder, the core combo is Glaciation plus Ice Bite, so I'm gonna put them first. +1 level to lightning skills, and lastly I have Blind. You don't need to have it 5 links, you can remove that. The Ghost Dance, we have fast forward to make it less effect duration, so we can get this faster. 2.1, take it off, and I mean, if you have it, it should run away. I don't think it shows, but I've been told it works. At least I hope it does. That's skill effect duration. Now, for the talents, we have, and you cannot run anything else on it. We have Sunder My Enemies. The cold damage is really important, and the spirit. The last thing, the physical damage reduction is nice to have. This build does Pinnacle boss is really easy. So if you just want to run the trials or whatever, it's easy to do. can get the physical damage reduction at the end. I have Essence of the Mountain is important. I'm gonna tell you what talents you can skip here. You can skip a little bit of evasion and energy shield. You can skip the shock. You can skip this damage node here, this attack speed node here, and you can skip a little bit of crit. Interesting thing is that one with the river gives you both defenses and also increases your phrase build up, so you definitely want to get up to here and get all of this node. Same for the heralds. And of course, make sure that you get CI. Some of my slots for jewels are open. The only jewels that you need to run are 2 that give you gain 10% of maximum energy shield as additional stun threshold. And if you want to run a more expensive version of the build with many ranks to level of melee skills, you can add a jewel like this that will give you 2% mana recover on kill, and that will tie you up over. I hope all the explanation were good. This build is really optimized defensively, offensively. You get so much evasion and armor and energy shield for such a low price. It is honestly disgusting. No neck anointments, no 6 links. Can't really get better than that for 48 Exalts. I will make more expensive version of the build, but more than anything, this was just to prove how good and optimized the build is and how strong it is, because it runs on 48 Exalts. Check the links down below. So I hope you guys liked it.